Let's begin a discussion, elementary as it is, on selection, but we'll talk about the marquee tools first. They've been there the longest. The marquee tools are right here. You have a rectangle, elliptical marquee, single row and single column marquee tools, which a lot of people find unique. Let me put it that way. We'll talk about those last. The rectangle tool does exactly what you would expect it to do. It draws an area that can either be a square or a rectangle. It's up to you. If I'm clicking with my mouse, and that's exactly what I'm doing, and dragging, I can change to any shape I want to, and of course it's starting from the upper left-hand corner. If I hold the Shift key down first, it will force me to draw a perfect square no matter what I want. I can always let go of the Shift key, but if I hold the Shift key down, I do a perfect square. That's while I'm drawing. If I hold down the Alt key, that's the Option key on a Mac, same key, different name, I draw out from center. If I hold the Alt key and the Shift key at the same time, I'm drawing out from center and I'm drawing a perfect square. Remember, anytime you hold the Alt key or the Shift key down, you always let go of the mouse first. Then you can let go of the keys. The Alt key and the Shift key, draw from center, perfect square, totally different if you do it now. If I hold the Shift key down now, I'm telling the computer I want to add to the selection I've already made. If I hold the Shift key and then move it, I'm actually adding to the selection wherever you want to add, and you will notice there is a plus sign. This does not have to be contiguous. I can come over here and drag and move over there and draw another shape. If I hold the Alt key down now, it doesn't draw from center, it removes areas from the image. No matter where you want to remove them from, it will remove areas as long as you're holding the Alt key down while you're dragging. So if you begin the process, Shift key is square, Alt key is draw from center. Once the process has started, the Shift key draws additional elements and the Alt key will take away from those elements. Let me press Control A, that's Command A on a Mac, shortcut for select all. The next tool does essentially the same. But while we're talking about this one, let's talk about options that we have up here. With the exception of anti-alias, which we talked about in the previous segment, all of these are going to be just about the same. Again, if I'm not holding any keys down, I can do basically anything I want to. If I hold the Shift key down, I get a perfect circle. If I hold the Alt key down, I get a circle out from center. Shift and Alt key, perfect circle out from center. Now the Shift key adds, and the Alt key takes away. Same as the rectangular marquee tool, which is good. They don't have separate tools for that. What's going on up here? Well, number one, you have these 4 buttons. We'll talk about this one later. Those are called presets. If this button is selected, which is default, that's the free-form way we're working. This button right here, if you click it and start moving around on the screen, it's automatically adding as if, but I'm not, as if I'm holding the Shift key down. So that's another way to add if you want to do that. This one right here is to take away. So if we come over here again and draw a couple with that button, we click this button, I'm not holding the Alt key down, it would take bites out of it without holding the Alt key down. The last one is an intersect button. And if you select this button, you will notice that when I let go, everything is going to go away except the area I had selected. You can achieve that particular thing from the keyboard by holding down the Alt key and the Shift key at the same time. That's the Option Shift key at the same time. So these buttons up here perform the keyboard functions. To be honest with you, I find it much easier to use the keyboard shortcuts than to come up here, but they're there. The feather button on the rectangular or elliptical marquee softens the edge like a Gaussian blur. If we come over here and make a selection and fill it with color, it's a nice hard edge. If we come back over here again and change the feather, say to about a 10, and come over here again, doesn't look much different until we fill it. And as you can see, we've done almost like a Gaussian blur. So we have the ability to feather. The marquee tool, the elliptical one, does have the anti-alias feature that we talked about in the previous segment. What's style? Let me do again a Control A delete and start again. Style has fixed ratio and fixed size. If I go into, well, I'll tell you what, let me move over back to the rectangle for this one. If I go into fixed ratio, the default is 1:1, and that means squares. a 1-to-1 ratio. I do a lot of stuff on the internet. Most monitors, 640 by 480, 8 by 6, 1024 by 768 is a 4-to-3 ratio. And I need to create an area 4-to-3 to work in. I'm going to change the width to a 4 and the height to a 3. And if I come over here and drag, I'm dragging a 4-to-3 ratio, which gives me the perfect ratio I need to make something for a web page. Up to you. We're going to talk about this one later in another segment, but I want to get back to this one right here. Let's say you make a default. And again, just switch around. We'll go this one again. You come over here and you change your ratio, or actually, let's do fixed size. Fixed size is an actual size. I've got 64 by 64 pixels. When you click, that's what you get. A friend of mine does college yearbooks. The photographs for all the students must be a certain size, and they have to be cut out of existing photos. He uses a fixed size to make that happen. Let's say you want a fixed size, and you also want a feather of about 5. For whatever reason, you use this all the time. But you don't want to keep coming back in here, turning the feather on, and going back into your fixed size of 64 by 64 every time you need this. So you come over here, and you click this blue button right here, and you click the new button right there and give it a name, like 64 by 64. Click OK. You will notice if I close this again, by clicking here, it's now there. But if you right-click your mouse, you have the ability to reset your tools. Remember one thing about Photoshop. When you make changes to these tools up here, they are there forever until you change them again. They'll be there tomorrow, the next day, the next week. If we say reset all the tools, it's going to ask if we're sure we want to do that. Say, okay. So you come back tomorrow, and you're back to doing whatever you want to do, and now you need that particular preset. All you have to do is select the tool, then come up here, click the button, everything's done, you're ready to work again. Presets to me are very valuable because you can get into these specific sizes and know exactly what you need to do. So there's the rectangle marquee, and there is the elliptical marquee and how they work. We have 2 more tools. We have the single row and single column, which some people, like I said earlier, find interesting, as into why do I need them? If I come over here and say go in, pick up that tool, and click on the screen, I'm literally creating a selection that is 1 pixel wide. That's all it is. Some people use this to make grids. I would have a better way to do it. However, let me say, if I fill that with a color, shortcut, that area of selection is now a black little line. If I come over here and hold the Alt key down, I can make a copy of it. Every time I hold the Alt key down, I can make another copy. Now, you'd use your ruler bar maybe to make it nice and pretty. You then come back over here, create another new layer. So I've got a new layer, nothing in it. Pick up the vertical. Fill it with a color. And pick up the Move tool. Hold down the Alt key and begin doing the same thing. If you want to make a grid, I suppose that would be one way to do it. But I have what I consider to be a more valuable way to use this tool. Let me show you a photograph. Look at this image here. This line right here, let me zoom in on that so you can see that better. That line is a broken scan line. Now, it could come off the wire or over the internet where it was missing a piece. That's not unusual. It was much more common years ago. Or it could be just something that happened with your scanner. It's a very important photograph. Maybe you can't scan it again, and you've got that one stupid line going all the way across it, either horizontally or vertically. If you want a practical way to use this tool, I'm about to give it to you. Let's take that back down to normal size. Pick up the single row marquee since it's horizontal. Click somewhere about there. Go up to the word select on the pull-down menu. We need to make it bigger. So say select, modify. Incidentally, when you have a selection on the screen, anything you want to do to that selection is underneath this pull-down menu. We're going to go to modify, expand, and we're going to expand it by just 1 pixel. Click OK. Now again, let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see this. Pick up the tool again so we can move it and not what's inside of it. Don't pick up the Move tool. I'm going to use my down arrow key. Now I'm going to place that thing right on top like that. Put it right on top. Let's take that back down to normal. Reach over on your keyboard, and I want you to press the backspace key or the delete key on a Mac, and only in CS5, I so love this, content-aware fill. Leave that alone. Click OK. What am I saying? I'm saying, computer, I want you to delete the area within that selection, and I want you to fill it as much as you can, or as much as possible, with information from the top and the bottom to make it look natural. Click OK. Anybody see it anymore? Look at that. That's almost perfect. And again, if you put it down at regular size, it is perfect. You can't see it anymore. So to me, since I do get a lot of images over the internet from other photographers that are literally on the other side of the planet, every once in a while I will get that obnoxious scan line problem. I find this tool invaluable for doing that, either horizontal or vertical. Those are the Marquee tools.